They planned to steal my house and laugh about it. I smiled, cooked dinner, and quietly destroyed their entire scheme piece by piece. At 38, I thought I understood betrayal. 3 months of playing the perfect husband while my world crumbled taught me I knew nothing. What started as an accidental Bluetooth connection became the most calculated 103 days of my life. I've been lurking in these communities for years, never imagining I'd share my own story. Life has this twisted sense of humor, doesn't it? It was an ordinary Wednesday, nothing remarkable about March 22nd, except it fell 2 days before our monthly financial review. Catherine, my wife of 12 years, and I had our predictable routines down to a science. She attended her pottery class every Wednesday while I typically stayed late at the engineering firm, wrestling with whatever technical disasters had accumulated during the week. Around 4 months ago, our office network crashed spectacularly. The IT department sent everyone home at 2:15 in the afternoon. I decided to swing by Sam's Club since we were running dangerously low on essentials, toilet paper, coffee, those addictive dark chocolate-covered almonds Catherine absolutely devours. Standard married life necessities, you know. Sitting in the Sam's Club parking lot, I scrolled through Spotify hunting for that podcast my colleague Daniel had recommended about real estate investment strategies. Without thinking, I tapped connect on my phone's Bluetooth. Normally it would link to my Accord, but somehow it connected to Catherine's CRV instead. Strange, considering Catherine's car should be nowhere near this location. Her pottery studio operates clear across town in the Arts District. Before I could disconnect, laughter echoed through my phone speakers. Catherine's laughter, but not her polite social version. This was her genuine, unguarded laugh that I hadn't heard in months. Then came another voice, masculine, familiar. Marcus, my closest friend since graduate school. I froze completely. The podcast forgotten, my fingers suspended over the disconnect button. Their voices transmitted with crystal clarity. Catherine must have left her phone connected to her car's Bluetooth system while they sat inside together. He genuinely believes I'm learning pottery techniques right now, Catherine was saying, her voice carrying that slight breathiness she develops after a couple glasses of wine. Marcus laughed deeply, and he thinks I'm attending that renewable energy conference in Portland. Robert's always been incredibly trusting. Remember how close we came to getting caught at your cousin's graduation party? I sat motionless, as if any movement might somehow alert them to my presence across town. My stomach plummeted through the asphalt beneath my car. That had been dangerously close indeed. It won't matter much longer, Catherine replied, her tone shifting to something more calculating. Once he signs the property transfer for the tax advantages, we'll have everything necessary to begin our new life without that hopeless fool. They both erupted in laughter, laughing at me, at my blind trust, at my complete ignorance. What's our timeline looking like? Marcus asked. How much longer do we maintain this elaborate performance? 4 months maximum. My tax consultant explained the capital gains exemption works optimally if we wait until after our annual filing. Robert already believes it makes perfect financial sense to transfer the house into my name because of my consulting business structure. God, he's absolutely clueless about financial strategy. 4 months. 103 days precisely until our scheduled tax consultation that Catherine had thoughtfully arranged with her highly recommended financial advisor. I remained in that Sam's Club parking lot for an eternity, listening to them architect their shared future. How they'd been conducting their affair for nearly 3 years behind my back. How Marcus had been performing the role of loyal friend while sleeping with my wife. How Catherine had been systematically transferring money from our joint accounts into a private one for months. My hands trembled so violently I dropped my phone, severing the connection. I stared into nothing, my brain struggling to process what I'd just heard. 12 years of marriage, a lifetime of friendship, all of it complete fiction. I have no memory of driving home. I recall sitting in our driveway for nearly an hour, attempting to compose myself before entering our house. I scrolled through at least 300 photos on my phone, pictures of the three of us together at summer barbecues, on our camping expedition last fall, at Marcus's birthday celebration where he delivered a heartfelt toast about the sacred nature of friendship. The rage arrived in successive waves, scorching hot, then ice cold. I wanted to demolish the house, pack my belongings, contact everyone in our social circle. I wanted to wait for Catherine's return and confront her with everything. I imagined her expression when she realized her deception had been exposed. Then something crystallized within me. They had called me a hopeless fool. They had laughed about how effortlessly they'd manipulated me. They possessed a comprehensive plan to strip me of everything in my home, my dignity, probably a substantial portion of my retirement savings if Catherine succeeded in her scheme. I decided in that moment they wouldn't receive that satisfaction. I went inside, stored away the Sam's Club items I'd never actually purchased, and opened my laptop. I began creating a strategic list. Do not confront Catherine or Marcus immediately. Document absolutely everything: dates, times, conversations. Examine all joint finances and credit reports thoroughly. Locate an attorney completely unknown to Catherine or Marcus. Secure all personal documents and irreplaceable items. Most challenging of all, act completely normal. I established a new encrypted email account that evening. Downloaded a secure messaging app on an old phone I discovered in my desk drawer. Started recording every conversation with Catherine. Captured screenshots of our banking statements and credit card records. When Catherine returned home that night around 9:30, slightly wine-flushed and carrying the scent of unfamiliar cologne, I was positioned on the couch watching The Crown. I smiled genuinely and asked about her pottery progress. "Oh, wonderful. We're working on advanced glazing techniques," she said, not bothering to provide any specific details about her supposed artistic endeavors. "That sounds fascinating. I ordered Chinese food since I arrived home late. There's plenty remaining in the refrigerator." She appeared almost disappointed by my completely normal behavior. Perhaps she was anticipating an argument about her extended absence again. Instead, I gave her a brief kiss on the forehead and returned to my program. The following day, I called in sick to work the moment Catherine departed. I systematically searched our entire house, located her backup phone concealed in her yoga equipment bag, discovered statements for a separate checking account containing nearly $52,000, money that had been gradually disappearing from our joint savings, found a collection of printed emails between her and Marcus hidden inside a feminine hygiene product box. Seriously, the most predictable hiding spot imaginable. I photographed everything meticulously, then restored it all to exactly its original position. That afternoon, I met with Jennifer, an attorney someone had actually recommended when I'd asked hypothetically about a friend's divorce situation in a legal advice forum. She explained the situation with complete clarity. I needed irrefutable evidence, unwavering patience, and a bulletproof strategy. "Never reveal your knowledge," she instructed me. "The moment they discover you know, they'll accelerate their timeline. You must remain 12 steps ahead consistently." The subsequent 103 days became the most grueling period of my existence. Every morning, I awakened beside the woman systematically planning my destruction. Every weekend, Marcus would text about socializing, playing basketball, watching games. Sometimes I accepted, sitting there sharing beers with him, watching him check his phone and smile when Catherine texted from our kitchen. I transformed into the perfect husband. I repaired household issues without being asked. I surprised Catherine with flowers randomly. I suggested updating our estate planning and financial arrangements, which provided access to even more crucial information. I even introduced the property transfer concept myself, mentioning some article I'd read about tax benefits for consulting businesses. "That sounds like excellent financial planning," Catherine said, struggling to contain her excitement. "My tax advisor mentioned something similar recently. We should definitely investigate this opportunity." Their pieces were falling into perfect position. Or so they believed. Meanwhile, I was constructing my own comprehensive strategy with Jennifer's guidance, establishing my escape plan, moving modest amounts of money into a separate account they knew nothing about, documenting every lie, every fabricated late meeting, every business dinner that was actually a romantic rendezvous between my wife and best friend. I discovered they maintained an entire shared photo album of their relationship. Vacations they'd taken while I was working overtime. Screenshots of their text conversations mocking how oblivious I was. I found hotel receipts, restaurant bills, even a shared music playlist titled Our Journey, filled with songs about secret love and new beginnings. Every night, I swallowed my rage and performed my role flawlessly. I listened to Catherine describe her day, knowing half of it consisted of elaborate lies. I texted Marcus about our fantasy league and acted enthusiastic about our upcoming fishing weekend. I downloaded their complete messaging history using Catherine's old tablet that she assumed she'd properly wiped. Professional tip: always verify your cloud storage settings. I recorded their phone conversations when they thought I wasn't present. I had Daniel from work assist me in recovering deleted files from our home computer. The most challenging aspect was maintaining normal behavior with others. When my brother Andrew noticed something seemed wrong and asked if everything was acceptable, I nearly collapsed and confessed everything. Instead, I mentioned work stress and redirected the conversation to his new home renovation project. The days crawled by with excruciating slowness. Some nights I'd lie awake, Catherine sleeping peacefully beside me, wondering if I should abandon my careful planning for the immediate satisfaction of witnessing their faces when they realized their deception was exposed. Then I'd remember them laughing about me, calling me a hopeless fool, and my determination would solidify again. Day 81. Catherine mentioned our tax consultation approaching, suggesting it would be wise to bring the property paperwork with us. Day 97. Marcus invited me to his lake house for a weekend getaway that coincidentally fell the weekend following our tax appointment. A celebration, undoubtedly. Day 100. I finalized everything with Jennifer. All my strategic pieces were positioned perfectly. Day 102. We had dinner with Catherine's sister Rita and her husband. Catherine remained glued to her phone throughout the evening, presumably texting Marcus. Rita asked if everything was harmonious between us. Catherine responded before I could speak, declaring we'd never been happier. Then day 103 arrived, the day of our tax consultation. The day they believed their scheme would materialize. The day I'd been counting toward for 3 agonizing months. What they didn't realize was that I had my own appointment scheduled for that morning. And it wasn't with their tax consultant. The morning of day 103, I awakened at 4:47 according to my fitness tracker. Sleep had become impossible. My stomach was performing gymnastic routines, not from nervousness, but from a strange combination of relief and anticipation. 3 months of performance were about to conclude. Catherine was still sleeping, curled on her side of our bed, as if nothing was wrong. As if she hadn't spent years lying directly to my face. I rose quietly, prepared coffee, and sat on our back deck observing the neighborhood awakening. Mrs. Patterson next door walking her energetic golden retriever, the UPS driver delivering packages to the Johnsons. Normal life continuing while mine was about to implode by my own design. At 7:45, Catherine's alarm sounded. She shuffled into the kitchen seeking coffee, kissed my cheek, and reminded me about our important tax consultation at 2:30. I smiled and asked if she wanted breakfast. She seemed surprised by the offer, but accepted. While preparing her favorite spinach and mushroom omelet with that artisanal cheese she loves, I casually mentioned I might arrive a few minutes late due to a brief client meeting. Her expression flickered with panic before she regained control, asking if we should reschedule. I assured her I'd definitely be there, just might need to meet her at the office instead of driving together. The relief on her face was immediate and telling. Their plan remained on schedule as far as she knew. She departed for her morning appointments at 9:20. I watched her drive away, texting while driving, probably informing Marcus that everything was proceeding according to their timeline. The moment her car disappeared around the corner, I activated my own plan. First destination, the credit union. Not our usual branch, but one downtown where I'd established a new account 4 weeks earlier. I deposited the cashier's check from selling my motorcycle collection, the vintage bikes Catherine always complained about but Marcus always admired. The teller smiled as she processed the transaction, completely unaware she was handling part of a 3-month strategy. Second destination, at Jennifer's office. My attorney had everything prepared. 8 documents required my signature. 3 months of meticulous planning condensed into legally binding paperwork. As I signed each page, I felt increasingly lighter. Jennifer handed me a secure drive containing all the evidence we'd compiled. The text messages, banking records, photographs, audio recordings. All backed up in triplicate, with copies already transmitted to my email and stored in multiple cloud services. When finished, Jennifer looked at me seriously and asked if I was certain this was the point of no return. I simply nodded and said I'd never been more confident about anything in my life. By 11:45, I was at Andrew's place. My brother had prepared his guest room as promised, I delivered my final bag of essentials, connected my laptop, and opened the file titled Day 103. The checklist I'd created weeks ago was waiting for me. 10 steps. 10 simple steps to reclaim my existence. Step 1. Send the email. I drafted it carefully, reviewed it with Jennifer, revised it 6 times. It was addressed to 16 people. Catherine's parents, my parents, our closest friends, Catherine's sister Rita, and several mutual friends who deserved to hear the truth directly. Not vindictive or emotional, just factual. It explained I was ending my marriage due to Catherine's long-term affair with Marcus. Included sufficient evidence to be irrefutable without being graphic. Requested privacy during this difficult transition. Click. Sent. Step 2. Update social media. I changed my relationship status to single without commentary. Removed both Catherine and Marcus from my connections. Updated my contact information across all platforms. Simple, clean separation. Step 3. The group message. This reached our immediate social circle. The people we saw regularly, who attended dinner parties at our house, who came to our Super Bowl gatherings. The people who deserved to hear it from me before the rumors started spreading. Brief and direct marriage ending. Discovered Catherine and Marcus's relationship spanning years. Please respect my privacy, not anyone's fault. Still value these friendships. The responses were instantaneous. Shock, disbelief, support, questions. I activated Do Not Disturb mode and proceeded to Step 4. Step 4. Contact Catherine's parents. This was the most difficult conversation. I genuinely cared for my former in-laws. They had consistently treated me like their own son. The call was brief and painful. Her father went silent, her mother wept. I apologized for delivering the news this way, thanked them for welcoming me into their family. They deserved better than an email or text. Step 5. Transfer the funds. I moved the agreed-upon amount from our joint account to Catherine's personal account. Exactly half of our joint savings, not a cent more or less. The transaction description read, "Your portion, goodbye." Then I transferred my half to my new secure account. Step 6. Send the message to Catherine. This was precisely timed at 2:15, 15 minutes before our tax consultation. I sent her the message I drafted and redrafted countless times. I know about you and Marcus. Have known for 103 days. Don't go to the tax office. There's no appointment. The papers you'll receive are divorce documents, not property transfer paperwork. Everything has been filed. Your belongings are at the house. I won't be there. Goodbye, Catherine. Step 7. Send the message to Marcus. This one was shorter. Hope she was worth it. Check your email. Everyone knows now. Step 8. Power down my phone. And I did. For 7 blessed hours, I existed in a protective bubble where none of it could reach me. Andrew and I ordered pizza, played video games, and avoided discussing Catherine or Marcus or betrayal. Just two brothers spending time together like when we were younger. At 8:32 that evening, I finally reactivated my phone. 51 missed calls, 22 voicemails, 114 text messages. The breakdown was predictable. 28 calls from Catherine, 14 calls from Marcus, 5 from Rita, Catherine's sister, 4 from Catherine's mother, 3 from my mother checking if I was all right. The voicemails ranged from Catherine sobbing incoherently to Catherine screaming that I destroyed everything to Catherine begging me to communicate with her. Marcus's messages were pathetic attempts at damage control. We need to talk man to man. It's not what you think. We can resolve this situation. The text messages were an emotional roller coaster. Catherine cycling through denial, rage, bargaining. Marcus growing increasingly desperate as he realized his reputation was obliterated. Our friends expressing shock, offering support, providing places to stay. The most gratifying message came from Lisa, Catherine's friend who I'd always suspected knew about the affair. I should have told you. I'm so sorry. What they did was unforgivable. I responded to exactly 4 messages. Thanked my mother for checking on me. Assured Daniel I was fine. Told Andrew I'd be staying another night. And responded to Lisa that I appreciated her honesty now. The following morning, I awakened to 23 additional missed calls and what appeared to be a novel's worth of text messages from Catherine. The tone had shifted from anger to panic. Apparently, she discovered that I possessed documentation of everything. The tax consultation was actually with Jennifer, who served Catherine with divorce papers when she arrived. All our friends and family knew exactly what she and Marcus had done. The house wasn't being transferred to her name. Instead, I'd already arranged for it to be sold with proceeds split as part of the divorce settlement. Her secret account with the $52,000 wasn't secret to the divorce proceedings. I decided it was time for our confrontation, not because I needed closure, but because I wanted to witness her face when she realized she'd lost complete control of the narrative. I suggested meeting at a coffee shop near Andrew's place. Public enough to prevent a scene, private enough for genuine conversation. She agreed immediately. When I arrived, she was already there, looking absolutely devastated. Eyes swollen, hair unkempt, wearing the same clothes from the previous day. For a brief moment, I felt something. Not quite sympathy, perhaps just muscle memory from 12 years of caring about this person. I sat down, said nothing, let the silence work. She began talking immediately, a chaotic mixture of excuses, apologies, and accusations. It wasn't what it appeared to be. She and Marcus had made a mistake. I had violated her privacy by checking her messages. She still loved me. We could repair this damage. I waited until she exhausted herself, then asked one question. When did it begin? She hesitated, then admitted it had been ongoing for almost 4 years. Started as purely physical, but evolved into something deeper. Marcus understood her in ways I didn't. They hadn't intended to hurt me. I retrieved my phone, played the recording from her car's Bluetooth. The one where they called me a hopeless fool and laughed about stealing my house. Her face turned completely pale. That's when I explained everything. How I'd known for exactly 103 days. How I'd documented every lie, every secret meeting, every dollar she'd hidden. How their supposedly clever tax benefit plan had been dismantled piece by piece while they weren't paying attention. She attempted tears again. Said Marcus had pressured her into the plan. That she'd experienced doubts. Asked if there was any possibility we could try again. I simply observed her, this stranger wearing my wife's face, and felt nothing except a dull ache where love used to exist. I informed her the divorce papers had been filed, the terms were fair, and fighting them would only cost her more money and public embarrassment. The evidence was solid. As I rose to leave, she grabbed my arm, asked where I'd been staying. I didn't respond. She didn't deserve to know. The confrontation with Marcus happened accidentally 3 days later. I was at Home Depot purchasing basic necessities for my new life. Amazing how many things you take for granted until you need to acquire them all simultaneously. When I turned the corner, there he was, examining power tools. His expression when he saw me was almost comedic. Terror doesn't begin to describe it. He started with standard deflection. We need to talk. It's complicated. Catherine and I never meant for this to happen. I simply looked at him and asked if it was worth it. 12 years of friendship. Countless camping trips, game nights, birthdays. All destroyed for what? A relationship built on deception? He had no answer. Just stood there holding a drill like it was a lifeline. I told him I didn't hate him. Hating him would require energy I wasn't willing to invest in him. Then I walked away, leaving him standing there surrounded by tools he didn't need. The following weeks blurred together with paperwork, moving, and adjusting. The house sold quickly in this market. I found a comfortable apartment closer to work. Catherine signed the divorce papers without contesting anything. Probably realized fighting would only expose more of her deception. The fallout in our social circle was exactly what you'd expect. Some mutual friends attempted to remain neutral, but most sided with me once they understood the details. Marcus lost his position in our fantasy football league. Petty, but satisfying. Lisa reached out again to apologize for keeping their secret. Rita surprisingly called to say she was ashamed of her sister's behavior. 4 months after day 103, the divorce was finalized. No drama, no complications. We divided assets fairly. I maintained my retirement accounts intact. She kept her secret fund. I didn't want a single dollar from her that I hadn't earned honestly. I heard through mutual acquaintances that Catherine and Marcus are still together, living in a rented townhouse across town. Apparently, the dream house they planned to purchase with my money remains indefinitely postponed. Their shared Amazon wish list for their new place remains unfulfilled. As for me, I'm rebuilding. Some days are better than others. I still occasionally wake up reaching for someone who isn't there. I've had exactly 3 dates, all spectacularly awkward. I'm not ready, and that's perfectly acceptable. Last week, while unpacking a box I'd overlooked, I discovered Catherine's favorite coffee mug. The one with the small chip on the handle that she refused to discard because it was perfectly functional otherwise. For a moment, I just stood there holding it, remembering morning coffees and weekend breakfasts and a life I believed was genuine. Then I wrapped it carefully in newspaper, placed it in a small box with her other forgotten belongings, and mailed it to her new address. No note, no message, just returning what wasn't mine anymore. And that's the complete story of how I spent 103 days pretending to be the perfect husband while systematically dismantling a betrayal 4 years in the making. Not purely for revenge, though that was certainly part of it, but for self-respect, for refusing to be the hopeless fool they believed I was. If you're experiencing something similar and watching this, it gets better. Not immediately, not completely, but enough. Stay strong, and remember you deserve honesty, respect, and genuine love. Never settle for anything less.